Now let's talk about the first topic, sources of water. The first one is oceans and seas. Saline or salty water that comprises the 7 seas and oceans covering 71% of the Earth. The concentration of salt in seawater is about 35 parts per thousand. So it's not a very good source for drinking water. The second one is glacial or ice melt. Glaciers are a composite of different snowfalls which accumulate over the millennia. They can be really pure if they are not contaminated. However, if we want to use them, they have to be melted first by either seasonal temperature changes or manually. So it's also not very practical. The third type is rainwater, or as we know, precipitation. The evaporated water cools and coalesces in the atmosphere and then falls back to the earth in the form of rain. We can collect those rainwater from either an existing roof structure or a ground catchment area, and they can provide a useful supplementary source of water, and we can use storage tanks to make the best use of the rainwater. In ancient times, emperors used either the rainwater or the glaciers to make tea because, as they said, quoted, they taste better. However, in modern times, they are not very practical as water supplies. The fourth one is surface water. When the rain falls or ice melts to the ground, it becomes the surface water. It can be either moving across the ground in the form of streams or river, or it can remain in one place in the form of ponds or lakes. The surface water is easily polluted and can be affected by wide seasonal variations in turbidity. So it's also not our first option to be drinking water sources. The fifth one, groundwater. Groundwater seeps into the earth through porous soil and fractures in surface rocks. It was then collected into the underground reservoirs or aquifers. So they can get rid of some contaminants during those porous soil or fractures. That makes it potential good drinking water supplies. And typically, the deeper the water, the more salty it becomes. The water can come from the mountain springs. They are sourced from underground aquifers where it has been collecting for years after trickling down the mountains. The water is collected when it reaches the surface and forms as a natural spring along hillsides and in valleys. The second one is shallow wells, a hole which has been dug, bored, driven, or drilled to the ground for the purpose of extracting water in a well. This is a typical type of people in the countries to use to get the drinking water.